Hello, my dears. How are you today? Well, Grandma wants to tell you or read you a story that I read to my kids many years ago when they were little. It's called Tarzan. One morning, deep in the African jungle, a gorilla named Kayla was walking toward the feeding grounds. Kayla had just lost her baby. She felt sad and all alone. Then suddenly, she heard a noise, a baby noise. Kayla followed it to a treehouse. The crying came from inside. Curious, Kayla entered. There she found a human baby. Kayla had never seen one before. It looked funny. Kayla sniffed. It smelled funny. It didn't even have fur, but it was sad and all alone. Kayla gently picked the baby boy up. He stopped crying. She cradled him in her arms and he smiled. Kayla's heart filled with love. Suddenly, it was Sabor the leopard. Kayla clutched the helpless babe and ran out. She had to escape, but how? Kayla saw a boat attached to a rope. Desperate, she jumped in. The boat fell safely to the ground below. Sabor tried to follow, but got tangled in the cord. Kayla brought the baby to her family. It's freaky looking, laughed a young gorilla named Turk. But it's kind of cute. But Kerchak did not agree. Kerchak was Kayla's mate and leader of the gorillas. Take him back, Kerchak said flatly. He's not one of us. He could place us all in danger. He didn't want that human baby in their family. But Kayla refused. The baby needed her and she needed him. You will be my son, she said to the smiling child, and your name will be Tarzan. 5 years passed. Tarzan grew strong and active, a little too active. Sometimes his high spirit got him into trouble. Do toddlers ever get into mischief? Years went by. Tarzan became a strong young adult. One day he was wrestling with Turk. Okay, you win, Turk cried. Let go. The friends were having fun. Then they heard a roar. It was Sabor. The leopard chased them back to the feeding grounds. Kerchak fought to protect his family, but was badly wounded. Tarzan leaped to the rescue. He defeated Sabor with his trusty spear. Then the ape-man let out a mighty victory cry. Tarzan had saved the family. Tarzan placed Sabor's body at Kerchak's feet. He bowed in respect. He was trying to honor the leader of their group. Bang! A loud noise thundered through the jungle. The apes ran off, but Tarzan was curious and went toward the sound. He found something amazing. Creatures just like him. Clayton, don't shoot, Jane scolded. My father and I are here to see gorillas. You'll scare them. Gorillas are wild beasts, Clayton replied coldly. Tarzan could not take his eyes off them, especially Jane. He watched as she sketched a young baboon. My, you are a sweet little one, Jane said. The baboon stole her sketchbook, then ripped out pages. Hey, you little art thief, Jane cried. Give me that. She didn't like him taking her sketchbook. Jane angrily yanked the drawings back. The young baboon started to cry. Suddenly, Jane was surrounded. It was the baboon's family, and they were angry. They had heard their baby cry and came to rescue it. Tarzan swung into action. He carried Jane to safety. Oh my goodness, she cried. I'm flying. Tarzan and Jane talked, but spoke different languages. Tarzan, he said, pointing to himself. He was telling her his name. Oh, I see, she answered. Oh, I see, Tarzan repeated, pointing to Jane. No, I'm Jane, she corrected. No, Jane, Tarzan replied, still pointing. Eventually, they worked it out and became friends. They figured out how to communicate. Tarzan took Jane back to her campsite. What a mess. While the humans were out exploring, the apes were having fun. Hey, Tarzan, Turk cried. Look what we found. Jane could not believe her eyes. Gorillas, she gasped. And he's one of them. Then Kerchak arrived. He saw Jane. To him, she was a stranger, a danger to the family. He pounded his chest to scare her. Oh my, Jane screamed in terror. Kerchak ordered the family to leave. Sadly, Tarzan followed them, leaving his new friend behind. He was following the orders. Protect the family, Kerchak ordered Tarzan. Stay away from the strangers. But Tarzan couldn't. He couldn't follow those orders. He had to see Jane again. He returned to the human camp. There he met Clayton and Jane's father, Professor Porter. Jane decided to become Tarzan's teacher. The days passed. Jane showed Tarzan books, music, and science. Tarzan learned to speak English and thrilled to the wonders of Jane's world. He was learning all kinds of new things that he had never heard or seen before in the jungle. And Tarzan shared his world with Jane. He took her up into the trees. She saw the birds, the animals, and the vast beauty of the wild. She felt close to the jungle and even closer to the jungle man. Then something terrible happened. Tarzan learned that his human friends would soon leave and never come back. Not come back? Tarzan asked sadly. If only we saw some gorillas, Clayton said. That's why we came. Tarzan did not want Jane to leave, ever. So he led the humans to the ape nesting area. The gorillas were afraid, but soon relaxed. Some baby apes danced for Jane. Nice to meet you, she said, laughing. Professor Porter also made friends with the apes. Hello, Archimedes, Q. Porter at your service, he said. It's quite a grip you got there. Even Clayton was pleased. My dream has come true, he said, slyly. What do you think that means? Suddenly, Kerchak arrived. Clayton reached for his gun. Kerchak moved toward the humans. No, Tarzan shouted. He leaped on Kerchak and held him tightly as the humans escaped. You betrayed our family, Kerchak growled at Tarzan. I knew you'd never be one of us. Tarzan felt awful. He had actually defied Kerchak. I'm so confused, he sighed to Kayla. Come with me, Kayla said. There's something you must see. Kayla took Tarzan to the treehouse, where she had found him as a baby. There, Tarzan saw pictures of his human family. See that picture of his family? That was the family he originally came from. Tarzan decided that his real home was with humans. He dressed in his father's clothes and hugged Kayla goodbye. You will always be my mother, he told her. And you will always be in my heart, she replied. The next morning, Jane and the others prepared to leave. Oh, Tarzan, Jane cried, seeing him. I'm so glad you're coming. They boarded the ship, and Tarzan took one last look at his home. But it was a trap. Once on board, Tarzan, Jane, and Professor Porter were captured by Clayton and his men. Clayton tied them up. Why? Tarzan asked in shock. For money, the evil hunter replied. Clayton planned to capture the gorillas and sell them. I couldn't have done it without you, he laughed. Tarzan cried out in despair. And meanwhile, on shore, Turk and Tantor the elephant heard their friend's anguished cry. That sounded like Tarzan, Tantor cried. He's in trouble. Tantor and Turk raced to help their friend. Friends help each other, huh? Back on board the ship, Tarzan and the others were locked up below deck when, crash, Turk and Tantor burst through the ship's hull. Thanks, guys, Tarzan shouted. Tarzan ran to the hole in the ship. Where are you going? Jane asked. To save my family, Tarzan replied. Then he dove into the water and swam for shore. Clayton and his thugs were at the nesting area. One by one, they rounded up the gorillas. Clayton spotted Kerchak and reached for his gun. I think this one will be better off stuffed, he sneered. That wasn't very nice. Ah, Tarzan arrived to free the apes. You came back, Kerchak said. No, I came home, Tarzan replied. He wanted to save his family. Just as Jane was freeing Kayla, bang, Clayton fired at Tarzan. Kerchak bravely rushed to protect Tarzan. Bang, Kerchak was shot by Clayton. Clayton chased Tarzan high into the trees. There they fought. Tarzan took the rifle. Go ahead, shoot me, Clayton teased. Be a man. Tarzan smashed the gun. Not a man like you, he answered. He didn't want to be a bad man like Clayton. Clayton got tangled in the vines and fell to the ground, far below. Meanwhile, Kerchak was fading fast. Tarzan held the great ape in his arms. Forgive me, Tarzan said. No, forgive me, Kerchak gasped. You have always been one of us. Take care of our family, my son. The next morning, Jane and Professor Porter prepared to leave for England. Goodbye, Jane, Tarzan said sadly. I will miss you. He wasn't going to go away this time. As the boat pulled away, Jane gazed longingly at Tarzan. Jane, I think you should stay, Professor Porter said. Go on, you love him. Jane knew he was right. She jumped out of the boat into Tarzan's arms. Professor Porter also stayed. He was happy to spend his life with the gorillas, studying them. Jane was happy to be with the man she loved. Tarzan was happiest of all. He found his true home and family. Here in the jungle, he and Jane would live happily ever after. Fun story. I don't think that could be ever true, but it's a fun story. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, Grandma loves you.